Once upon a time, deep within the heart of the Whisperwood, there lived a young girl named Ella. Unlike other girls her age, Ella's days were not filled with playing hopscotch or weaving flower crowns. No! Ella's days were filled with the rustle of parchment, the scratch of quills, and the weighty responsibility of royal decrees. You see, Ella wasn't just any girl. She was the sole heir to the Whisperwood throne, destined one day to rule the magical realm of Etheria. But despite the grandeur of her lineage, Ella felt a pang of discontent gnawing at her heart. While her tutors praised her proficiency in diplomacy and her ability to navigate the intricate web of royal etiquette, Ella couldn't help but yearn for something more. Something real. Something that lay beyond the castle walls. One day, as Ella sat in the royal library, surrounded by ancient tomes, she stumbled upon an old leather-bound book tucked away in a forgotten corner. As she opened it, the scent of aged paper filled her senses, and her eyes fell upon a faded illustration of a young princess disguised as a commoner. Intrigued, Ella delved deeper into the book, each page revealing more of the captivating tale. It was the story of Princess Amara, who, dissatisfied with her sheltered life in the castle, had disguised herself as a peasant and ventured into the human world. There she learned about life beyond the palace walls, discovering humility, resilience, and most importantly, the value of genuine connections. As Ella read, she couldn't shake off a growing restlessness within her. The more she learned about Princess Amara's journey, the more she realized that her own life lacked the very experiences that made Amara's story so compelling. That's when Ella made a life-changing decision. She would trade places with her royal governess, Lady Alara, for a week. While Lady Alara would reside in the castle, taking on the role of the royal governess, Ella would leave the kingdom, assuming the identity of a peasant girl. Excited, Ella packed a small bag with some basic supplies, ensuring she wouldn't draw any undue attention to herself. Then, donning a simple peasant dress, she set off towards the neighboring village of Willow Creek, where Lady Alara would be staying. Upon arriving at the village, Ella noticed how different everything was compared to the castle. Instead of polished marble floors, she walked on uneven cobblestones. Instead of soft, flowing fabrics, she wore rough linen, and instead of servants anticipating her every need, she had to carry her own provisions. Despite these stark differences, Ella found a strange sense of freedom in her new reality. No one called her princess or expected her to behave like a royal. They simply saw her as Ella, a girl from the neighboring town. Over the next few days, Ella immersed herself in village life. She helped the old miller, Mrs. Hawthorne, by carrying water from the well. She mended fences for Farmer Giles, whose hands were too gnarled with age to do the job himself. And she even assisted the baker in kneading dough and shaping loaves of bread. At first, these tasks were challenging for Ella, who was used to a life of luxury. Her hands, soft from years of wearing gloves, soon became rough and sore. Her back ached from carrying heavy baskets, and her face was flushed from the sun and the effort. But with each passing day, she felt a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction that no amount of royal privilege could have given her. One evening, as Ella sat by a small fire outside the cottage she was staying in, she reflected on the week that had passed. She was surprised by how much she had learned and how much she had grown. She had learned the value of hard work and the satisfaction that came with it. She had discovered the importance of community and the strength that came from working together. And she had learned that true happiness didn't come from material possessions or social status, but from the richness of one's experiences and the depth of one's character. As she pondered these thoughts, Ella realized that she didn't want to return to the castle. She wanted to stay in the village and continue living as a normal girl. Just then, a gentle hand touched her shoulder, and she turned to see an elderly woman standing there. This was Mrs. Hawthorne, the miller's wife, whom Ella had been helping earlier in the week. "I heard you talking to yourself, child," Mrs. Hawthorne said with a knowing smile, "and I couldn't help but wonder, what's on your mind?" Ella hesitated for a moment, unsure how to explain her feelings. But then she took a deep breath and began to share her thoughts with the wise old woman. She told her about her life in the castle, her longing for something more, and her newfound love for the simple life in the village. Mrs. Hawthorne listened patiently, and when Ella finished speaking, she said, "You know, child, Sometimes we have to step outside our comfort zones to truly understand what's important in life. It's like that old saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. If you want something different, you have to do something different. Ella nodded, realizing the truth in the old woman's words. She had traded places with her governess to escape the monotony of her royal life, and in doing so, she had found something that was far more valuable than anything she could have imagined. As the days turned into a week, Ella's time in the village drew to a close. She knew it was time for her to return to the castle and resume her royal duties. However, she also knew that she couldn't go back to the way things were before her journey. She had changed, and she knew that if she wanted to make a positive impact on her kingdom, she needed to do things differently. On the day she was to return to the castle, Ella awoke feeling rejuvenated and ready for the day ahead. She had spent the previous evening packing her belongings. And now, she stood before the mirror, dressed in her finest gown once more. As she fastened the last of her jewels, she caught her reflection in the mirror and gasped. Staring back at her was not just a princess adorned with finery, but a young woman transformed by her experiences. Her eyes, once dull with boredom, now shone with a newfound purpose. Her posture, once ramrod, straight with formality, now held a relaxed confidence, and her smile, once polite and practiced, now radiated genuine warmth. With a deep breath, Ella left the cottage and began her journey back to the castle. As she walked, she thought about everything she had learned during her time in the village. She had learned the value of hard work, the importance of community, and the true meaning of happiness. Most importantly, she had learned about herself. She had discovered a strength and resilience she never knew she possessed, and she had found a passion for making a positive impact on the world. Upon her return to the castle, Ella wasted no time in putting her newfound wisdom to use. She began by visiting her people, not as a distant monarch, but as one of them. She rolled up her sleeves and worked alongside the peasants, sharing their joys and sorrows, their triumphs and challenges. She listened to their concerns and took action to address their needs. Before long, the kingdom of Aldora began to thrive under her compassionate and engaged rule. The peasants were happier and more prosperous than ever before. The merchants and traders prospered, and the kingdom became known throughout the land for its beauty and prosperity. But perhaps the greatest change that Ella brought to Aethera was a renewed sense of hope and inspiration. Her story became a beacon of light, showing people that even in the darkest of times, hope can prevail, and that even the smallest of actions can make a big difference. As the years went by, Ella's legend grew, and she became known throughout the land as the People's Princess, a true inspiration to all who knew her. And so, the tale of Princess Ella, the People's Princess, serves as a reminder that true leadership is not about power or prestige, but about serving and inspiring others. It's a call to action for all of us to find our voice, to make a positive impact on the world, and to never, ever give up on our dreams. Thank you for joining me on this enchanting journey. If you've enjoyed Princess Ella's tale, don't forget to subscribe. Your encouragement means the world to me and helps me continue bringing these stories to life. Until next time, keep believing in the magic of stories and the power of your own imagination. And remember, even the smallest of actions can make a big difference.